I think we are going live now.
It says loading speaker.
Yeah. It's still from the 2020, 2020 conference. I think everybody can hear us now. Are you guys ready?
Oh yeah, we can hear you because I can hear us twice now.
Yeah. Oh well, let's go on then. How do I kill this thing? Oh, here we go. Paul does this normally. Hey guys.
We're making it without pause.
Yeah, we'll get there. We'll get there.
All right, yeah, we're officially up. See us.
All right. Hello. Can everybody hear us and see us?
How's it going, everyone?
Did you have like a good month? Right? It's a month past now.
I know, it's crazy. Each time we do this, it's a month past.
Yeah, right? Well, this last time was 2 months, so it's kind of nice to have a regular month again, actually.
Yeah, regular.
Yeah, regular.
Each month is always not regular because each month we always break records. Well,
That's
we didn't break the last record, but
that would be hard to break, by the way.
Yeah.
So let's do a quick round of introducing everybody in the stream, because there's somebody new, a new face here in the stream as well, and maybe you're watching for the first time. So let me start. I'm Frank, and well, I'm one of the core developers of Home Assistant and work on pretty much anything. But during the streams, mostly the release notes actually. So
no. Frank does a lot more than just release notes and core. He does everything. I don't know what nothing he doesn't touch.
Not everything, but I like to get everywhere.
He likes to tinker. That's the biggest thing.
And somehow it's on every issue in PR.
Yeah.
Well, my name is Zach. I do mostly front-end development for Home Assistant and not drag and drop. That's me.
Just breaking the ice there.
Yeah,
not
go ahead and get it out of the way.
Epic. All right.
And I'm Mike DeGatano. I work primarily on supervisor, and I've definitely dabbled and do a bit in core as well.
Yeah, InfluxDB. Mike started with Nabu-Casa last month, actually.
Yeah.
So belated welcome in the stream in that case. And well, yeah, you did InfluxDB. You worked on InfluxDB inside Home Assistant, right? Integration as well.
Yeah. Yep.
That's cool.
Yeah, I guess dabble's the wrong word, but I can do a bit all over. It's probably the only part I haven't really looked at too much is front end.
Yeah, I can see how you got there. Don't get there. All right.
Python and JavaScript are two different beasts.
Yeah, definitely.
I haven't yet to crack the Python beast myself. So.
Yeah, I haven't seen you in core.
No, I try to stay out because I'm just so bad at Python. I did Python my first year of college, right? So I learned Python as my first language. But what that Home Assistant and you all do in Python is insane. I made Flappy Birds. I did not make what you guys are making.
It would be a cool integration. I say, I wondered once, why don't we have those little games hidden in the front end? That would be nice.
Yeah, you can click somewhere 4 times, 7 times or something, and then all of a sudden you could start playing the dinosaur game. And
right, right.
Yeah, there's a surprising lack of Easter eggs.
Yeah.
Well, not just Easter eggs, but also I don't know. Everything is in that app nowadays, so why not? Time.
Well, a problem with Easter eggs is that we have a pull request for each thing we have. We put into it, so it's hard to have things that someone has to just find.
And Easter eggs break as well, right? They need maintenance, and nobody looks at them. And
yeah,
there we go. All right, but this time we're here for 2022.3 release.
March release.
Second
day of March.
Yeah. It's not 22222, but
no.
Still a lot of twos. 3-2. Still a lot of twos.
It's also this is the month where we get into spring, That's exciting.
Depends on where you are, 21st. I guess. For some people, the winter might start, right?
Oh yeah. What is the season where you're at?
Where I'm at, I'm in Europe, so it's just spring here. But
it is currently spring, yeah.
Well, yeah, it starts.
Okay.
Summer coming. I'm looking forward to the nice weather.
I don't know how seasons works across the globe, you know.
Well, I'm in the Netherlands, so for me, it's like I'm looking forward to 2 weeks of sunny, nice weather, warm weather that we have a year, and the rest is rain. So, still something to look forward to.
Yeah. I always have nice weather. where Mike is, he has no good weather, but up in Boston.
Yeah, I'm still in constant snowland.
Yeah.
Really? Wow. Anyways, let's go to the release, by the way, because that's what we're here, right? We did that. Let me pull up the release notes actually, so we can talk about it. Well, there we go.
Very nice.
See, we can do this. Well, I'm only scrolling on the wrong screen now. That's odd. So, I'm trying to scroll the stream. That doesn't work.
No.
I need to scroll my browser.
I've already done that too.
This is so cool. So we're missing Paulus today, and he normally does a lot of this stuff, actually, the directing. But
we got this.
We got this. We will get there. And if you guys have questions, by the way, just drop them in the chat. We will try to notice and see if we can incorporate in the stream. So today's release, one of the things I'm always looking, when I write the notes, I'm always looking for some fact I can use, and I never, ever find a fact. So this time is the first time I actually found a fact, so I'm kind of happy. Because today in 1949, or how do you say it, 1940? So this is good off for a good start. At least, well, it's the day that the first automatic streetlight was lit. That's kind of interesting, right? I found it interesting.
Yeah.
Finally a fact, right?
Yeah, well, a fact, and also a fact that's like cool against automations and home. You know, that's kind of cool.
Yeah,
I like it.
Yeah. All right, let's scroll down. So, the first item on the list. Do you want to start there, Zach?
Yeah, sure. So yeah, first item on the list is the new Home Assistant newsletter, which is not actually coming out today. We're actually going to give some people some time to get signed up. So if you're not signed up yet, you still have time to get that first release of the Home Assistant newsletter. But Home Assistant newsletter, it's going to be great. So we know sometimes you don't always remember to go to the blog, or some people don't like Twitter. And then a lot of people don't like just getting notifications in Discord because there's a lot of that going on. But everybody wants to know more about Home Assistant, right? So, why not put it in your email and your inbox? So that's what we're going to be doing. Each release every month is going to be a new newsletter. Now, a lot of the stuff you'll probably see in the release notes, as Frank and I are going to be kind of collaborating back and forth on what should go in the newsletter. But there's also going to be some more cool stuff in there, like community highlights, what's going on in the community, any major news, any new blog posts that happen during the month, stuff like that. Very easy, digestible, quick stuff to kind of brush up on. And then if you need to, we'll link it to stuff that'll be like, oh, I want to learn more about that. Then you can kind of dive in deeper if you want.
Yeah, so cool. It's not a copy of the release notes, right?
No, it's not a copy of the release notes. It's definitely more like here's a select blurb that we think is going to be the most interesting. And you can dive into it more if you'd like.
Yeah, cool. It's very cool. I've signed up, by the way, today. So I'm looking forward to it, what you're creating there. But yeah, I think it kind of makes sense. There are still a lot of people that like email a lot. In general, I'm not one of those, to be honest. But yeah, if email is your thing and your way of like digesting information, then that's possible now too. And so one of the things is like if you sign up, right? Then like my email client will block all the images and stuff because of tracking. Is that something that's removed, right?
Yep. Yeah. All the tracking is removed from, everything that we can remove is removed. So it's analytics, tracking. We don't track when you open it. We're not looking at any analytics. It's not a numbers game of, we need 10,000 people. We're just trying to get more information out to
Yeah.
people so that you know what's going on, right?
Yeah, it's just another distribution channel, so that's it. That's cool.
Yep, exactly.
Awesome. All right, I've posted the link is now down in the below. By the way, you can go to the release notes or to www.homeassistant.io/newsletter to sign up if you like that. So, and if you could sign up and see if you like it. And
yeah, you can always unsubscribe. There's going to be an
Right.
unsubscribe, little button or link down at the bottom of the email. So if you don't ever want, it's not going to hurt our feelings. Unsubscribe. Understand, I get a ton of stuff to my email all the time, and I unsubscribe from whatever I don't want.
Right. Okay. All right.
Perfect.
Oh, but this is mainly the hot item, right?
Oh yeah, this one's awesome.
The new Play Media Action.
You can take the newsletter banner.
Yeah, I can. Hold on. I'm not as just still looking around. No, but there it is. So we have a new action you can use with automations in this release, and I'm personally really excited about it because, I think it resolves a big issue, or at least a big inconvenience. Maybe it is. Is that what it's called?
I mean, it's just one of those things where you're always like, I want to be able to do this, and sometimes you have to do a little bit of a thinking on how to figure it out, or what to do, or how to do it, and this is going to make it a lot easier.
Right. So you want to tell what it is, how it works, Zach?
Yeah.
You're the front end guy, so that should be.
Yeah. So I didn't build this one, but Bram built this one, and
that's true.
It's in the automation editor. So if you're building automations, you can you'll be able to check this out. So it's a new action type. So whenever you're building a new automation, you go to triggers, you do conditions, and then you get to your actions. It'll be there. It's called Play Media. And if you've seen, and you'll see even more stuff here soon, more and more about the media browser and media stuff that you can start checking out, this is just a portal into that media browser that you're going to be able to play whatever you want on an automation. So stuff like, when someone rings my doorbell, if I can get that into Home Assistant, I can now play my camera stream on a CAS device. Or, in the morning, I want to, at 7:30 in the morning, always cast my Lovelace dashboard, which we'll go into, to my TV. Or a cool one that Frank actually came up with was every time I get home, I want a radio browser to be playing, and that one's going to be cool. But a lot of new stuff, let's say that whenever you click a button or an NFC tag, you can play your favorite music really, really, really easily.
Yeah, that's indeed a cool thing that you can just I've been trying to do some of that media stuff in the past, getting my favorite radio station playing, and then I had to figure out how to send the Play Media action, what it wanted to have, right? Because depending on which media player, you have to send in specific options. And then you have to find the URL of the radio station or the camera source you're trying to stream or all those things. And I really, when this landed, I was like, oh, this is how I'm going to do the radio browser. So that's why the radio browser was born. But just to solve that, making an automation to just click and then select the thing you want to play anywhere, actually. And then that's it. That's just, I really found that cool.
Yep. We're making the automation editor better and better, more click and clicks instead of click and YAML or click and code. It's going to be a lot easier now.
Right.
Plus with pictures.
True. Now you know what you're actually putting in there instead of just having.
Oh, right. Yeah, true. Because it shows the art cover or whatever they're shown, right?
Yep, exactly.
Yeah, it shows whatever you see in media browser, right? It's convenient. You upload from the same place and you pick with the same picker.
Right, that's true. Can we show this? Do you have something, Zach, where we can play with this on stream? Like, I think I have maybe something, but you're muted, Zach, by the way. Yeah, I see your mouth moving, but
yeah. So let's see. Let me pull mine up here. Share my screen. Never share my screen again, so I have to go through all the tips.
Have you?
And apparently, I need to allow it. Oh God. Oh, I have to. No. All right. Here we go. All right. I'm going to share my screen here.
Let's see. You
guys see it?
Nope.
Nope. What?
No.
I clicked share. All right, try one more time.
Nope.
Share. Chrome has lost permission to your screen. Follow the steps.
You can see we prepare this kind of thing, right? We prepare streams so well.
Why is it not allowing it? I just clicked allow.
Oh.
Well,
he's gone. I'm thinking it's Mac. Mac doesn't let you just add new permissions without restarting the program. So he might have just shut down Chrome.
Right. Maybe that's it. Well, maybe he pops in a second. At least to continue what's the media browser is, Zach did record a video, by the way, and it is in the release notes as well. So he did create a video on how to create an automation that streams your front doorbell camera to not a TV, but a Google Nest Hub when it detects motion. So it's a really short video of 1.5 minutes, and it's just like, this is how you do it, which is really, really interesting. I really like it. Is this now as a professional YouTuber work? Thomas Love asks. Thomas. Well, the thing is, we do these streams like, really, we just go in and we're going to talk and discuss and keep it natural and spontaneous as much as possible. Because, well, if you start like preparing this, then it becomes like, I don't know, it has to be like fun a bit as well, right? So yeah, he really dropped off. Oh, there he is. Just needed to add him back.
Yeah.
Hey, Zach.
Sorry, I can't share. I have to restart my entire Chrome, and I don't really be able to do that right now, so I apologize. But yeah, I mean, it is cool. I don't know if Frank, you want to go to the automation editor and we just kind of show that. I don't know.
Well, I can try if I can share mine, but then I have to remove mine for a second, and then.
But yeah, so yeah, I heard you guys talking about why we don't structure this and why we don't prepare. The reason is that we have now feature videos. So what came out like an hour before this stream started was the actual structured video of all the release notes that you can check out, where we don't have this kind of issues, so this is more fun.
So let's start an automation and let's see what happens, right? So we can create a trigger, but the idea is the action. So let's scroll to that. Let's say play media. And this is it. And now I can select my media player. So let's say my, what's it called again? My Office Assistant, which is a Google Nest Hub, by the way.
Nice. Now this is awesome.
And this is the new thing, right? So now you can see the media browser popping up here. And that allows you to select what you want to do. So for example, if I want to stream my camera, in this case, my Octoprint camera is connected to this instance. This is the action to do that.
Yeah.
So then that's it. So this is the action to stream a camera to my Google Nest Hub based on triggers or whatever you want in your automation, which is really cool.
Man, it would be really nice if you could try that right now by running it.
Well, that's the bad bridge ever. That's the worst bridge ever. But you're right, actually, by the way. There's a little new feature as well, which will be dropped by in the release notes. But there's a little new feature hidden in the automation editor. which is run action. So if you click on the little what's it, 3-dot menu in the top right, then you can say run action. So if I click this now actually I can see my camera on my desk, which has a short wire, so I cannot show it. But yeah, it actually worked. Confirmed.
Yeah. And it's showing the live view, right? So this is like straight from the stream, straight from the camera. Amazing. And then, like Frank, actually, when you clicked on that, what's really cool as well is we're actually saving your place of where you were in your, in the context of this automation. So now you can go back there, and you don't have to go all the way through all of your different folders if you have to in order to get there, which is nice.
Sorry, I had to turn it off again. Didn't have an automation for that. So that's not the only thing. Right? This works for cameras, which is pretty cool, actually. But also for your local media, which can be, I don't know, like a Snoop Dogg dance. Or
yeah, I was gonna say
like,
Snoop Dogg dance.
This is actually in here because I had some test media. But also the radio stations you talked about, right? So if you go back and go to the radio stations and you want to, like, I don't know, pick a radio station from the Bahamas, that sounds cool.
Whoever added this is amazing.
This was such a simple thing to do, which was just fun. This was a Sunday project. It's really cool. Anyways, that's the new Plea Media, which is super cool and super easy if you want to create automations.
Yeah, even for casting screens, right? Because you happen to pick.
What?
Oh,
hold on!
You didn't even tell us.
Sorry, I was running late. But I've been following the stream. I was in my car, so glad to be here. For the people that don't know me, I'm Paulus Schouten. I'm the founder of Home Assistant, and I also contributed to this release a bit. So
a bit. Well, actually a lot. Actually a lot, yeah.
Yeah.
So we just showed off the new media picker, Paulus.
Yeah, I saw. I was in the car. I've been following it all along.
What do you think?
I love it. I think we've been talking about streamlining this stuff, and this is just one picker, this one action opens up everything that we've made before in the media browser is now easily available.
That's true.
We've been really going through all the integrations, seeing can we make them as a media source. So of course, there's a new one like the radio, but if you open Cast, like a Cast device, you'll have Home Assistant Cast. So you can cast all your dashboards, and it just works like as media. So that's one of the things I'm most excited about, because like Lovelace, of course, you cannot just cast your Lovelace to a Roku device or something, but it works on Cast because we built a receiver for it.
Yeah.
I'm
actually looking at my Google Nest Hub, so that's Cast capable. So I can actually indeed select my Lovelace dashboard, like my automation settings, and cast that dashboard to my Nest device, which isn't really useful for me in this case. But yeah, you could create a specific dashboard for your Cast device, right?
Yeah, I think one of the workarounds right now, like WebRTC cameras cannot be streamed yet, so you could create a Lovelace dashboard that has a WebRTC camera, and then it should work.
It's also cool that it's smart enough to figure out what device you pick, so you can't mess it up. You pick something that's only audio; it's only going to show you audio.
Yeah, we also just got a pretty good question as well, which was, does the touchscreen work when casting a dashboard to something like your Nest Hub?
It does. Yes.
Yeah. That is actually pretty cool. It does. Yeah.
That's like the best feature of casting your dashboard. Because casting your dashboard, of course, you can put the weather up, you can put the state of your entities, your sensors, whatever. But actually, if you have the Nest Hub or one of the hubs, it's fully touchscreen available, which is awesome. Change your states, touch the buttons, the toggles, anything.
I have my Nest up here. I just casted the dashboard. I'll show a demo.
Yeah, put it in your screen.
Yeah, no, I cannot put it in the stream because it's on the device. So I'm gonna put myself really big. 1 second.
Oh, you put really big.
No.
Okay. So this is Cast, and then you can just scroll. I'm in my office, so I can turn off my light behind me. Ta-da. And then, of course, when I'm having it open, I can also open different dashboards, right? So now I just open a different dashboard, and boom, now it shows something else. Yeah. I know.
That's awesome.
Yeah, no, I mean, the thing is, CAS has been around for a long, long time, right? But you had to know there was a service, or you had to know there was like a special row, and nobody really knew. And so this is going to make it very accessible.
Yeah, and does it follow your theme, Paulus?
You can set a theme on your Lovelace dashboard, right? So it won't, if you set it on the view, it will like actually apply the theme now. Yeah. And follow dark mode as well. So I think it automatically switches to dark mode in the evening. So it's really cool. Yeah. I think, one of those things that the media browser really unlocks is that it actually allows us to put a lot of features in the UI. Like we've had support for streaming cameras for a while. We had support for showing CAS devices, text to speech. It's all been there. It was just all hidden behind services that you kind of had to know how to use.
Yeah, you had to know the setup.
That's actually a good point. Let me bring back my my instance again to show just that, because text to speech is in here too.
Yes.
So what you can now do is like, I want to play like an announcement somewhere, and text to speech, and now you can just use one of your speech providers that is configured. In my case, there are two. I can just type in my text and select it. And now I created the text to speech announcement to this device, right? And I can actually play that. I'm not sure if that is that's audible.
Hello, Frank.
Because, it's probably canceled out by my my system. But
we can hear it a little bit.
A little bit, maybe, yeah. But I've got quite a bit of cancellation on my microphone, so it picks it up. But yeah, so that's kind of nice. You can just now do quick and easy change the text to speech. And what I really like about this actually how you guys put in like the options too, right? So you can now change the language and type of voice that's there. In this case, female and male, and just update it. I think that's really cool.
A lot of languages, by the way. I don't know, can you click on the languages to show like there's a lot of different like versions of languages too. Like I think there's like 6 or 7 English accents. So like you can sound either in Indian or British, Canadian. And actually there's an update that didn't make this release, but there's going to be a ton more of languages coming soon. And these sound all really good. So this is all with Home Assistant Cloud. We're actually we use Azure behind the scenes. And these are all neural network powered voices. So these are not your basic text-to-speech engine that kind of like tries to understand the words.
Hello, Frank. You can play any text on any supported media player.
Nice. Really cranked it up there, yeah?
No, well, I actually disabled the filters for a moment there to get that over. But,
that's what that sound was too. Okay,
yeah.
But what another cool thing here is that we with text to speech easily accessible and allowing you to upload your own photos or MP3s easily to also just throw on a Cast or a Roku or whatever. You really can create your own personalized home automation experience, right? This is not about, hey, here's like 10 ringtones you can play your Cast. No, this is like you type in any text, even with a template, right? If you're using like YAML to create your scripts, and then you can write whatever you want, and it will generate an MP3 for you and send it over to the media player to play. And that's just really, really cool.
I think so too. Yeah. All right.
Definitely kids listen better when their name is in the text.
That's true, too. That's true. I sometimes just use it to just send a message to upstairs, right? Just like I could walk to the stairs or walk upstairs, but it's just, I don't know, too much.
I saw somebody here, just a quick. Matthias is saying Lovelace is missing in my media sources. Make sure you have a CAS device selected, right? Because Lovelace is not visible for normal media sources. Like if you play in the browser, because while you're in the browser, I guess it could be a URL, but that's it's only for CAS.
So in this case, I've selected a Sonos device, and you will now see different media sources that matches the device I selected. So in this case, Lovelace is gone because, well, it's a speaker that doesn't work. But it can access my Sonos libraries. At Spotify in this case, which wasn't visible before. All right. Back to release notes, I guess.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
I mean, we're still in the media browser, but
But
now we're making the media browser bigger, I think, you know?
yeah, we talked about a bunch of these things that are coming now already. And I mentioned it a bit while you were trying to fix your permissions there, Zach, but you made a video, right? That's in the release notes too, about all of this, how this play media action works, with a nice little demo, actually, with you running towards your doorbell, which I find hilarious to see on, on the camera. But yeah, that's kind of nice. It's a minute and a half if you want to recap it. It's pretty cool. And indeed, then there's the more media sources, which we kind of spoiled a bit already, right?
Yeah.
Right. But the play media button and action is really, really great, actually, but it only works if you have things to play. So that's why this release brings a ton of new media sources, including like your cameras, which Paulus did, by the way. Thank you. That's really amazing. Lovelace dashboards, but also text-to-speech, indeed, and a bunch of new ones, which is the DLNA Digital Media Server. I don't have that, so maybe somebody could explain what that entails.
Yeah, a DLNA Digital Media Server is an open standard for sharing content on your network. And so one big application that implements this, for example, is Plex. So your whole Plex library, once you install the Plex server, can now expose itself as a DLNA server, which means Home Assistant can then take content from Plex and send it to other media players. So you can, for example, you have some movie on your Plex, and now you select Cast, and you just say, play this Plex video on my Cast device. And of course, now this is maybe a bad example because Plex has a native, Cast has a native Plex integration, but any DLNA compatible server, and I think there's a couple of different ones I forgot the name of, but there's also these, like a lot of NASs, like a NAS device, as network area storage that you have at home might implement a DLNA server to expose your media. So just to note that this doesn't do transcoding, right? Like a Plex will actually kind of match to make sure that the encoding works, which is not happening with DLNA. We just really connect your player to server, and then they figure it out together. So, but it will unlock a lot of, like, for me, it found my Plex server. I know for others it found like a NAS. It will also automatically discover it because it's all based on universal plug and play.
That's kind of cool, though. Then it will pop up in the auto discovery, and then you can just click configure, right, in Home Assistant.
I see some people here. Cody has DLNA server and Foobar 2000 as well.
Foobar 2000, does that still exist?
I guess.
Holy moly, that's like the Fraunhofer MP3 starting time, like that old, like Winamp. It really whips the llama's ass. That era, right? That's Foobar 2000.
Yeah.
I had no idea what that is, so I've never heard of that.
Well, don't blame you.
Yeah.
I thought someone was throwing it out as like an example. Like, oh, my home server is called Foobar.
Yeah, no, that's what I thought. It was like if somebody said Foobar 2000, I was like, oh, that's just like a Foobar is a good example word or variable name or whatever we use.
It's actually a media player. Didn't know it even existed still.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So that's DLNA, which is added, which is cool, which you can now use in the media browser because it's a media source. Then the radio browser, which we glanced at for a minute already, which, I think is cool, but I'm biased in this case. But yeah, I've seen a video from Bearded Thinker, actually. He used the radio browser to create an automation that spins up its favorite radio station in the morning or something. He did something like that. I thought that was a cool idea. So that's pretty nice. And I think there are a bunch of others as well, which I've not mentioned. Wasn't there another one, Paulus?
New media source?
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to say Jellyfin, but maybe that one. No, I think the one existed. So what we did, we also have a few different places that we can send media to, so that support. So basically, any media player that can play URL can add support for the media panel and the play media action in Home Assistant. And so in this release, we got Roku got added, and Kodi. I added Kodi, so you can also send anything to Kodi. That is supported. We were running in some issues, so I filtered out certain like cameras that make Kodi crash. But generally, it seems to work very well. And of course, this is we're the coordinator, right? Home Assistant sends URLs from one device to the other device.
Yeah,
there is so many different ways of media out there that like definitely some things might not work. But that's the way it is. Oh, and one other thing I think worth mentioning for like the DLNA stuff, like a DLNA server works local on your network. It doesn't work while you're away from home. We're not proxying stuff in Home Assistant. So if you have the browser player active and you open a DLNA item, it will not work because it cannot access your local content.
And not for remote.
Yeah.
Yep, that makes sense. All right. More media.
Well, wait, we got it's a small thing. The volume button is there now on the
right.
Okay.
Yeah, that's in
that was very a lot requested. And the other thing that was a lot requested that we fixed is that when you change device now between like Office and browser or whatever, we will try to keep the same page visible. So it used to be that like you had one Sonos device selected, you picked your next Sonos device, you had to start from the beginning again.
Yeah,
so I actually love
a little crazy with media browser features. He's very excited about the media browser, so we got a lot of features.
I mean, what started to happen is that we did a bunch of work on the media browser last release, and now it was really just meant like we're gonna tie up some loose ends, and then like it just kind of
started rolling.
It's like we're streamlining the media experience.
That's very well put there, Zach. But yeah, it's kind of true, right? And it just started rolling and things kept coming up. And it was just cool to see. And the volume button, I personally like a lot because if I'm playing something in the media browser and I'm like, oh, this is cool, right? I found this nice track and it comes through my speakers. I just want to change the volume to like more and enjoy that loud maybe or not because it's horrible. That's possible too. But being able to do that quickly, that's just a little nice touch. I love that. Yeah, definitely. All right.
Not done yet.
We're not done yet. There's more media.
It's like now you can add your own media sources from local media.
So let me scroll a little. So previously, if you wanted to add media to your Home Assistant instance, you had to do, depending a bit on how you've set up your system, right? But you probably had to install the Samba add-on or get some file sharing going with your instance to get like the files there on that system on your Home Assistant instance. And Paulus actually created a bit of media management there.
Yeah, well, just a little bit, right? Like I think we definitely don't want to add a full-on file manager to Home Assistant. We don't want to, we're not going to compete with Plex. We're not going to add transcoding. This is really just to be able to, I don't know, make a picture, upload it so you can easily send it to a CAS device or have a record some sound that you want to play on your Sonos speaker or these kind of things. It's just small media that you want to, play. It's definitely not meant for like TV shows or whatever, that kind of stuff. Yeah, I mean, so we don't do folders either. It's just like add media and delete media right now. And yeah, it works. So
Kind of nice to upload that sound bit of the doorbell, like doorbell
Yeah.
point
Yeah.
MP3, right?
Alarm
yeah.
sounds, stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's pretty nice. Yeah, definitely not for full length feature films, but good for images, music, quick music bites, stuff like that.
Or the Snoop Dogg dance.mp4
Or the
in
Snoop
my
Dogg
case, which is actually cool to cast, by the way. Nevertheless, never mind. I think it's cool, and you can use the checkboxes, by the way, on the side, and then delete media as well. So it's just upload and delete at this point. That's the bare basics, the bare minimum, I guess, to make it like really useful. Actually, already.
Yeah.
The bare minimum to make it really useful.
We limit the upload also to audio, video, and images, right? So we don't want your text files or your whatever, your JavaScript that goes in different directories.
Right. UI upgrades.
Yes.
Yeah. This is actually a pretty big one. At least like for my mind, it was a big one because I needed to get used to it.
Yeah, so basically Brahm and I went through and cleared out a lot of different old elements that we were using. So basically, what Home Assistant utilizes are components, which are your inputs from material design, which is Google, right? But we were using the old versions, right, which are the ones with the no background. They're not good for accessibility, which is the main obstacle that you get in, and why you upgrade inputs. You get more features, plus you get the ability to have screen readers read them a lot better, keep up, the UI up to date, stuff like that. So we wanted to make sure to upgrade everything, and there was a new bug that did not allow screen readers to utilize these at all. So we made it very clear that this was going to be our goal for this release. So we went through and cleared out all of the inputs for selectors, so select dropdowns, and text input. So if you're just writing some text into a box, right? All of those are now updated to the latest version from Google, which helps a lot. But it also came with some UI changes. You'll definitely notice in your user interface, your dashboards, your Lovelace, wherever, that it's going to look a little bit different. But that's okay. That's okay, right? It's good change.
Yeah, and the reason of this change, like, and one other reason is that Google, like, we use web components provided by Google, and the old ones were Google's first iteration. We were very early on this framework, and Google itself is no longer developing these. They've deprecated these. They are building the new ones, which you can see on the left, which are going to continue to be improved and get utilize the latest browser features. And this is also going to be compatible, the left one, with Material 3. It has better rounded corner support and stuff, which is also something that Material is opening up. So it should also help in making it themable, for example.
Yeah, I believe I've seen in some of my teams already, at least I was browsing some teams, that in some cases the background of the drop-downs and the input fields were still wide. I believe that, correct me if I'm wrong, teams are not able to theme the inputs actually. Like previously it would be the background, right?
I mean, it should all be themable. I think everything
it's all themable.
Yep. CSS
Right.
variables that should be possible. I mean, there's definitely going to be some bugs, visual bugs, where the way the components behave, the old components used to always stretch itself out, the new components don't. So sometimes it might have happened that two components get on one row where it used to be two rows.
Yeah, we've seen that in the early stages, yeah. But it kind of looked good. So for clarity, the left part of the picture you're seeing right now, that's the new situation, and the right is the old one, the paper style that is going away. The right picture is actually from a very old Home Assistant instance, so I think there are some changes already. But yeah, the left is how it's going to be right now.
Oh, the right is really old, yeah, because even condition type, I had already migrated that one in.
Yeah, and the entity doesn't resolve, like it shows the entity ID instead of name,
Yeah.
I think. But that's a really old instance. But I could not.
Right.
This
We
one
actually,
showed it
yeah,
really clear.
we got some feedback, by the way, on the entity picker that we now show the entity name instead of the entity ID of what is selected. And some people have duplicate names because they have like a door, for example, in every room, and they name it all
Door.
door, and the entity ID is unique. We're gonna update it. I think the entity picker is gonna show the device or the area, something. We're gonna like put more knowledge of what we know about the entity around it, so it's easy to identify which entity is actually selected. Yeah. So yeah, this was a lot of work, by the way. It seems like just a few components have updated, but it's like those components are used everywhere in the Home Assistant UI. So it's they're almost all gone now, the old ones. Then this also might break some custom cards. So we put out a dev blog post in which Zach explained all the different things that you could do as a custom component author, and we even included a new polyfill for a custom component registry, which is like a feature that they're speccing out for the web, but hasn't landed yet, but it would allow duplicate components, which is why, well, it gets very technical, but basically we've put in a foundation in place to avoid custom cards from breaking in the future, and we hope we can work with the custom card community on like getting this adopted. So Zach has updated the blueprint card. It's called blueprint card.
The boilerplate card.
Oh, the boilerplate card. So the card that everybody bases their custom cards off when they start fresh, to adjust to be using this new standard.
Yep. Yeah, and so we're definitely going to be working with the custom card community. We have a bunch of those, a bunch of custom card developers who actually contribute to core as well. So our goal is to be able to not break custom cards as much in the future. But again, it's never supported. It's not supported to utilize this way. It could break in the future for the custom card developers, but it is a better option right now. And this registry is actually a really, really nice component to custom elements. It's something that has been proposed for a long time, and everybody is someone finally just built a polyfill for it.
Yeah. And here just a comment from one of our big custom card developers. It was handled perfectly. So I'm glad to hear that, Thomas. And just on the topic of Lovelace, I hear somebody is asking like, when is Lovelace gonna get better design layout capabilities? It's there. You can have custom views. You can completely choose all the rendering that you want. There's custom strategies. There's a lot. I think it's all there in the documentation in the custom UI section. But every layer of Lovelace, from card, view, panel, is all customizable.
So, can I spoil some beans here?
Knew you were gonna.
Because it itches. It itches. I want to spoil the little secret behind this. No, it's not a secret, but it's not the main driver. But yeah, there's some more behind this, right, Paulus?
Yeah. I mean, you want to say it, or you want me to do
it? I'm going to do it. So one of the things that drives this change is that we're now able, like if that we can now use selectors in our form fields, actually, which isn't really used yet in the current release, but it is already possible. So what that means is that if you go to like the service, like if you're going to trigger a service or create an automation that calls a service, or if you go to, if you get a blueprint from somebody, you have those nice little inputs that you can select entities and targets and areas and those kind of like input fields. And what we can do now is use those in our forms and actually in our configuration flows. So this potentially now opens up for us the possibilities to do more advanced forms that actually require, things like, for example, the entities, like groups. I would love to see groups. I know we're working on that right now, right?
People have been asking that already.
Right. That's kind of the thing. So it would be really cool if you could do and utilize all these new things that are put in place now with this UI changes as well, to be able to bring up more features that are currently require you to use YAML to bring them to the front end. Things like the groups indeeds, or I don't know, like we have a lot of those little things. I'm not sure what like season or calendar. No, not calendar. The utility meter. Sorry.
Oh yeah.
The moon.
The moon. Yeah, I already did moon. But the light groups, definitely light groups. For me, that would be the big
awesome
thing, right? That would be the magical thing. But that's future. Hopefully, maybe next. Hopefully, maybe.
Yeah,
that's right. But that's a bit of a spoiler.
I think Chad agrees with you.
I think Chad does definitely agree. They've agreed for a long time.
Well, that would be great, but that's not in this release. But this definitely sets some groundwork for doing that. So that's really cool too. Yep.
Awesome.
Right. Is there anything left in this release?
Sure.
Oh yeah, there's something.
Check it. Oh.
Paulus had some free time this month, didn't he?
I'm looking at this and I'm thinking, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what happened there, but yeah, this is. So I added the backend for this feature like over a year ago, right? Like over a year ago, it was a WebSocket command, send in your trigger, and we will like push to the client like, hey, when a trigger changes. And the idea was we're gonna add this with like some ripple to the front end, and then we never did. So then like I was discussing this with the Android people because we're gonna use this to more efficiently listen to state changes for template for widget updates on your Android home screen. And we're going to utilize this this technology. And I was like, well, we should just add it to the automation editor. Because I kept postponing it too, because I was like, we're going to redo the automation editor, and we're definitely going to do it. But it's not going to be this release. It's going to like require a bunch of work. So then I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna do it. Like we're just going to add like a title bar. And well, there it is, triggered. So yeah, what it does is that whenever you configure a trigger, 5 seconds after that, just because we're not constantly attaching new triggers, we're going to actually listen for that trigger in the backend. And if it's a valid trigger, the moment it gets triggered, it will show a blue bar for like 5 seconds. If it gets triggered again within those 5 seconds, it will actually turn orange to indicate that it keeps like something is happening. And whatever color is shown last after 5 seconds, that is disappearing again. So, yeah.
So this screen recording you're looking at right now, I actually created with this remote, which is still on my desk, which is my master bedroom remote, which nobody is in right now, so that's okay. But what I actually did is just select this remote as an on press action, and I clicked this during the recording. And actually, every time I clicked it, it would show the trigger. Mm-hmm. And this just helps with, well, did I configure my trigger correctly? Actually, you can verify it now.
Yeah, especially for remotes, right? This is it's going to be very useful.
Right, because, well, if you have more triggers, then only the one that actually triggers lights up, right? So if I would configure all 4 buttons in the inputs, then only the button that I click will light up in the list.
Yeah, what's that, like a car magic cube with like 50 different buttons? That'll help.
Right. I think it's a really cool feature to find and use to check if you're configured it correctly without storing the automation first and then trying it out and see if it responds, and then going to the debugger to see if it actually was that one that triggered. I think this is just a little quicker. That's just cool.
Yeah, and we have a question in chat. Is this for all triggers, just devices, entities,
everything? So I mean, every trigger is its own card currently in our UI, right? You see this button at the bottom, add trigger, so it will show open a second card, a third card. And each card itself has its own trigger title bar that will listen for that trigger being attached. And then we validate that your trigger is valid or not, but we don't currently tell you. So that's maybe something that we could improve. We do that for run action, which is the next. We already showed it, but we're going to talk about it next. If you run an action and it's invalid, we will actually show you a dialog saying, hey, this was not valid. This was the validation error we got back. Which the problem with actions is, of course, if you use variables from like the trigger or condition or variable block prior to this action part being run, it probably will fail. And so that's something we can now say, hey, either it failed to run or it failed to validate the configuration. But yeah, so it works for everything, which is really great. I think the one thing that doesn't work, I'm thinking now, is that an automation can have variables that we make available as a light template to triggers, and we don't currently pass that in. But I'll probably fix it for next release, maybe. So.
Well, there are many things that can go wrong if you run like a single part of your automation, right? Like if you have an automation that all kind of things that depend on each other, then and maybe set variables, but not only variables. For example, maybe you have to power on something before you can actually send a command afterwards. Then the order starts to matter, right? So not all can be run like this, but for most things, you can just test if it just works out, which I think it's kind of cool. It's basically the same thing as the run automation on the automation dashboard, but then just a part of it.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, and the good thing is it's always like, maybe something doesn't work, but you get an added feature and added ability for all these other things and all these other use cases, right? Just because, this one trigger doesn't work doesn't mean that, 85-90% of the other triggers, they are going to work, and 95 and 85% of the time, that's what you're going to be using, right? So, it's the first release of this feature. Doesn't mean that there couldn't be more iterations in the future. This is an awesome new addition.
Yeah.
There's a comment in chat that was back when we were doing the triggers. Someone said all the ones that the UI supports, but actually even the triggers that you can only do in YAML, we still light up, right?
Yeah, correct. Because all the UI triggers are under the hood, just YAML as well, right? So even if the UI doesn't support your trigger and we show the YAML editor, still 5 seconds after you make your last change, it will attach to it. Yeah,
that's cool. So if I click adding YAML here in the UI, that works. That's actually pretty amazing. So somebody asked.
Oh yeah, go for it.
Somebody asked, like, can we do the same thing for this, conditions?
Yes, we can. I just didn't do it. The main thing for conditions is that conditions are tested at like a moment in time, right? A trigger is nice because the backend will tell us this has happened here. Something happened. With a condition, we could, for example, test it every second, every 5 seconds, or maybe we have a check condition button that will then highlight if it's true or false right now. But yeah, I wouldn't want people to put a condition on a motion sensor and then be confused that like, hey, why is it not on or off, or these kind of things. And I also don't want the front end to go every second, like poll the condition. Is it true? Is it false? Or these kind of things. So it's coming probably. It was not on my list, but I'll add it because it should be fairly easy to do. And probably just a button, check condition, and then it will just become a caller or something.
And then it's just like yes or no, like it passes or not. Test button, test condition.
That's a nice one. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, with the same caveats that if it relies on the trigger variables, it's going to have the same failures. But yeah.
Yeah, I even thought about like going all fancy because we have the trigger variables in the front end from when we were listening, but those are not 100% exactly the same as that you would have access to in your automation because some things are converted to JSON. So yeah, didn't do that.
Nevertheless, 2 really cool additions to the automation editor, I think.
And this was actually inspired by tags, because if you use the tag feature in Home Assistant, whenever you scan a tag in the list, it will light up ripple the tag that was just scanned, and that was always the idea to put in here. But I was playing with ripples and it just didn't work well.
All right. Entity ID auto-completion. Here we go. Let me just show the screenshot. That's the best, I think.
Yeah,
This
so
is
I mean,
more advanced feature for this release, maybe, right?
definitely. So this was added by Cuba, and he's been adding a lot of nice features lately.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you know the craziest part about this feature is he added the state. Like that just that's such a nice little thing. I was like, oh yeah. You can do like having just the part where it auto completes your entities would be amazing, right? But he was like, oh yeah, but I'm just gonna put the state in there too, so you know exactly what you're doing, what the context is, and everything. Like that's awesome.
Yeah. So the cool thing about this is this works like almost everywhere, right? Almost everywhere where the code editor is. And it doesn't even have to be YAML. I believe it works in the Jinja template, the developer tools for the Jinja templates and stuff. But if you start typing like anywhere and you start with sensor dot, as soon as you hit that dot and it sees sensor, it's like, oh, here's your list of sensors. And in this little screenshot, even there's another feature of this showing is that I type sensor dot temperature, but I do not have a sensor that starts with temperature. Temperature is always in the middle, and it still is able to find it, right? So it searches really through your, all my temperature sensors are showing, even though they are prefixed differently. So that's kind of cool.
That is very cool.
Yeah. It's actually using the same fuzzy. It's called fuzzy logic, where it does like a search against all letters in any place as the quick bar, which is really cool.
Nice. We should borrow that in the developer tools tab. I know that one's the more advanced one, but it doesn't do the fuzzy search there.
It does.
I mean, one day we should just kind of combine it all, right? Like the quick search, developer tools, all that stuff is kind of, it all feels the same.
So somebody asked, will the auto completion work in the file editor?
No.
It won't, because the file editor is a third-party add-on, which is not part of the Home Assistant core. All right. The theme, by the way, I tried to add a theme this time.
Oh yeah, that was cool. Yeah.
So instead of like always showing the Home Assistant theme, I try to use a different theme this time to show off in the release notes. I really like this one. This is pretty cool. So if you have like a good other theme, this is Waves, by the way, Tim Call. It's linked there if you're interested in it. But if you know a good theme that we should show in the release notes, please let me know. I think this is kind of a nice experiment. All right. That's it for the large list. We're now boiling down to the other changes.
Oh, I think just one. I don't know if you already said for the radio browser. Did we tell people to add the config entry?
Oh, we did not.
So if you're missing your radio browser, radio stations in your media panel, you have to add the config entry. So this is gonna be added by default for new installations, for existing installations. Go to integrations, add search for media radio browser, and then you don't need any authentication. It doesn't need any API key or whatever. It just works. So
yeah. Or go to the documentation or to the release notes and just click on radio browser and then hit the add integration button. That will do too. But you have to add it manually if you have having an existing installation, right? But it's nothing. It's no API keys, nothing to set up. It's just click and it works.
Yeah, that was the crazy part. I was like, I didn't have to go to any website or anything. It was just click. Now I can browse 30,000 different radio stations.
Yeah, that's kind of cool, right?
Yeah.
It made me listen this week to a lot of radios.
Me too. I actually realized that I kind of miss just like random music, right? Like you can just listen to a radio station instead of seeing like, oh, this is my theme. It's always going to be EDM or whatever thing I'm listening to at the time. It's like completely random music, which is awesome.
It made me realize that like the algorithms of Spotify suck. Like this, I mean, I've been listening to a lot more wide variety. Even though I turn on radio stations in Spotify, it just kind of always comes back to the same stuff. And this was kind of nice. It also made me realize the Beatles radio, which is up here in the popular one, it actually it really only plays Beatles or Beatle covers or songs where a Beatle has been involved with.
Cool. Yeah, so it's not visible in the screenshots, but you can browse by popular station or category, I believe. I've added, categories was in, and language, or, well, by default it will show countries. But there are 30,000 radio stations available. And I would really love for the future to add a search to this, by the way, because 30,000 stations is hard to search, but that's not in there. It's requested a couple of times
It
already.
should be very straightforward to add a search that is powered by the backend. So, because I know people that use things like Spotify, that also would be nice to search, right? Sonos would be nice to search. I don't know actually if they expose it.
Yep.
Favorites. I've heard a lot of people now, hey, can we have favorites? Can we have favorites? Maybe.
Yeah, favorites or something, but that could be a generic media thing, right?
Yeah, but then do you want to have a favorite per device, a favorite per like if you pick a favorite radio station, you would expect it to see it everywhere where you would browse a device that has that media source or something. So, yeah.
Good question.
Somebody's asking, does Spotify integrate with the media browser? It does on Sonos.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. Other noteworthy changes. ESP Home, of course.
Yeah. It's
Our little sister project. Well, ESP Home added support for locks. And that was last released for ESP Home already. So it was in 2 weeks ago with the ESP Home release. They added support for locks at that point. And now the lock support in Home Assistant for ESP Home landed. So you can create your own locking mechanism, I guess. Or make existing... Well, you could use it to make existing electronic locks smart, I guess. Interesting. Is there anything in here you guys think that's really mention worthy, like to talk about?
We already went over the volume control. Thank you, Paulus. But you can also now filter and search for logs, which I think that's pretty cool. Like whenever I know I want to search for something, I can go to the logs page and just type in a certain phrase, and it'll search that for me.
Right.
But that's another one that got added by Cuba, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
One I go through in the features video is the date picker. Brom added the very beautiful new date picker, which instead of using default UI, it's nice and pretty.
It looks good though. Although I must say, I opened it and I was thinking, that's a date picker. That's maybe the powerful feature of it. It's just a good date picker.
Yeah, no, it's more or less like, oh, this is a date picker instead of, oh, why does that look like that? It's like instead of getting that reaction, you just get, oh, okay, this is a date picker.
Yeah, that's exactly how I felt when I clicked it, and I kind of liked it actually. So that's good. That's good. Lots of updates on IKEA. I've seen a lot of pull requests and changes for it for the IKEA Traffic. It's now Smart Home, by the way, actually, or something like that, right? What's it called? Home Smart? Smart Home? Home?
Well, that has always been the name of their department. Did they rename their whole line now?
I don't know.
They always had this idea of like, listen, we call it Home Smart instead of Smart Home because it's home first and we'll add smart features, but the smart features shouldn't get in the way of the home.
It's a really good brand name to search for. Home Smart. It's really hard, I guess, Google-wise.
I mean, all IKEA names are hard to Google for.
That's
right. It has all the Swedish like letters that are not on my keyboard.
I copy pasted the name to be sure I wrote it correctly. I can confess that one for sure. There's some buttons for Octoprint. I think the Octoprint integration is coming along slowly, really well. So that's kind of nice. I use it, so happy with that. Some unique IDs for filter and influx DB sensors, so you can manage those via the UI. At least set the icon and change the name and such, and put them into areas. Kind of nice. Thank you guys that did that. Yeah. That's your. Yeah, I know one we should talk about. Oh, we get there in a second. Oh, the GitHub integration. That thing came along slowly and nicely as well. It's now given lots more sensors and does way less API calls. So that's kind of nice. There are now tags involved. So if you're into monitoring GitHub repositories, which I am, I like to know if something gets updated or released somewhere. Yeah, that's really cool. So I personally love that one.
I like the HomeKit one because I have a thermostat that I control over HomeKit, but I could never control the fan, which meant that I could turn on the AC or turn on the heating, but I could not just like, hey, just blow through the house. So that's a nice one for me. And just for the people that don't know, HomeKit is the Apple protocol, but if you have a device that speaks HomeKit, Home Assistant can speak HomeKit to that device without any Apple stuff involved. So it's like, it's a fully local working home automation protocol. So it's really, really nice.
It's actually a really good protocol.
Except for the license.
Right, but that's a different thing.
But I mean, a lot of this, this is actually nice. A lot of the HomeKit stuff is, this is how Matter is going to work. And Matter is, of course, a new home automation standard that like a lot of the IoT industry is working on, and Google is behind it, Amazon is behind it, Apple is behind it, Philips Hue is going to implement it, Xiaomi is going to implement it, etc., etc. So, yeah, that will also all work locally without having to require one of those big brands' devices in your home.
Right.
We're actually working on some cool stuff around Matter, but it's too early to really just announce it all just yet. But that's coming. We're definitely going to support it. That's
yeah.
Mm-hmm. I'm still.
We are a Home Assistant. We have to.
All right, we have a bunch of new integrations. The DLNA, the digital media server we talked about. That's a new media source, so that's kind of nice. And we have FiveM, which is for, I believe, GTA or something, like a game statistics. I'm not sure, but if you're into that, then that probably is for you.
Yeah, so it allows players to play the game Grand Theft Auto 5 by Rockstar online with other players. It adds support for custom resources and lets you retrieve information on the FiveM server with Home Assistant.
How does this stuff end up with us? It's kind of cool, right? Somebody has a use case for it, and probably more people in the end.
I mean, it reminds me a bit of our Minecraft integration, right?
Yeah. That's another one, right? What else do I see? Pure Energy by Klaas, which is a Dutch energy provider, which can allow you to monitor your energy usage. So I think that's always good to have additions to our energy monitoring actually in Home Assistant. That's welcome. But personally, I'm most excited about Wiz, actually.
Yeah.
Should we talk about Wiz?
Let's talk about Wiz.
Wisdom? Wiz.
Wiz, just Wiz. I got a couple of their devices actually to play with and test with.
Do you? I want to buy some. I need to get some.
Yeah. So let's talk a bit about those. But Wiz is actually a manufacturer. It's created by Signify, I believe, or it's managed by Signify.
I think they got bought by Signify.
Bought by Signify.
Yep.
That's the same company that is behind Philips Hue, right? But it's not the same. It's not Zigbee. No, it's Wi-Fi based. So I got a bulb here and a wall plug from Wiz. Not sure if it's visible. But the nice thing about these is they're Wi-Fi based, do not require a hub. You do not have to flash them, and they are fully local in Home Assistant. So they are discovered, and you can just use them. It works.
That's a rare case to get a Wi-Fi bulb that is local, right?
Yes, indeed, and it's reasonable priced in my opinion. And you get that stuff. You can get that stuff anywhere. Like really in the shops around the corner here, I can just go into the store and buy them at the local depot. And I've been told you can get them almost all over the world. Like I know Jesse actually got a couple of these things.
New Zealand.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you can buy them anywhere. So it's kind of nice. Somebody asked, does the plug have power monitoring? This one does not. I'm not sure if they have, but this one does not. But the bulbs are actually, I was pretty amazed about the how bright they are, and the colors are beautiful. So actually, I think this is a really good option to consider if you're looking for a local device that is just on Wi-Fi. You do not want to go into all that flash stuff and want something local. I would definitely put my recommendation on it. That's for sure.
Yeah. It's local push, right?
Yes, it's push. Yes, and they got LED strips and bulbs and
is it auto discoverable or no?
Yes.
Wow, that's
no, that's the thing. It has everything. It's a local.
That's like everything.
No, it checks all the boxes, so that's kind of why I'm kind of enthusiastic about this one. I really love it because it just checks all the boxes. It's local, it's get discovered, it's no flashy, no breaking things up and opening up or anything difficult. It's just like get the bulb and pair it to your network, and Home Assistant says, "Hey, I found a whiz bulb," and it works. So that's pretty darn amazing, actually. So that's cool. I also have. I'm not sure where they are actually. Oh, here it is. I also have the motion sensor, which I definitely do not recommend because they do not pair with your Wi-Fi. They communicate with a bulb. So they work in Home Assistant, but only if they're paired with the bulb inside Wiz, which is kind of the same problem with their remotes. They're really good looking, really good priced actually, but they do not work directly with your Wi-Fi. So I would not recommend using those with Home Assistant. We have better options available, but their lighting products, I would definitely recommend. All local. Yeah. That's Wiz. I'm really amazed at that.
I feel like the Wiz PR was open for like a year, right?
Yeah.
It was open for a year, and then like I think November 2020. I'm actually looking it up right now, but then we just kind of got the ball rolling, and then like all of a sudden there were like 5,000 PRs later. 32 PRs have emerged for Wiz.
This release cycle, right?
And I told it. Yeah.
It is more than one a day. By a couple.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially since I don't think any came in recently either. So it's been,
No, but it's kind of weird that we're all for local, right? We all want this local stuff, and this one checks like almost every single box. And why was it never like part of our system? And now it is. I really think this is a good option to tell people about, simply because it checks the boxes we want.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, January 2, 2021.
Wow.
That's a year, more than a year. Super, but they're super cool. I really like their lights. They're really looking fresh and shiny. That just works. Push and all.
Actually, that is a good question from chat. Does it phone home? Like, is that part of it too? Is it, or if you cut it off externally, does it not care?
It does not care.
Just keep checking the boxes, man.
No, sure, but you can, but in their app, you can actually say you want like their cloud connected, yes or no. So you don't have to sign up and sign into their cloud product if you want to. But then they say like you cannot control it when you're away from home, which makes sense, right?
Is that true? Yeah.
That's how I've configured it because I do not have an account with Wiz, but I can still connect to it through Home Assistant. It will just discover it. So I don't know. It kind of blew me away. So wanted to share that experience at least.
Yeah, Florian is asking, do you think we're going to see more companies like Wiz that support local connection out of the box? I think so, yes, but it will be based on Matter, right? Like Wiz has its own API that does all these things, but with Matter, that will also can either go over Wi-Fi or it can go over Thread. It's IP based. So yeah, I think we can see light bulbs Wi-Fi based, but talking Matter. So they will also work out of the box with Google, Amazon, Apple, Home Assistant, of course. Thomas is asking if we can show off the quick bar because people can't find it. Can we show the quick bar?
Yeah, can you? Oh, should
Yeah,
I?
let me share my screen. What?
Now somebody's asking, is it ESP based? Yes, these all contains ESP chips, so you can flash them, but really there's no need. And for the remote, there's actually a custom component now floating around for ESP Home, so you can use it with ESP Home if you want to. I believe it's in Yessi's private, Yessi's GitHub even, but that's kind of cool. So you could do stuff with it. The pins are exposed on the remote even. If you're into that stuff, yeah, that's possible. It's just ESP based.
So yeah, the quick bar. So first of all, if you haven't never found a quick bar, actually the last release, we already made it available with this search button, which will open the quick bar. And then when you press that button, because nobody knew about the quick bar, because it was always pressing the C or E on your keyboard would have opened it. So now when you also use this search button, we actually show you this tip. Press C on any page to open the search bar, because it doesn't just work in configuration, it works everywhere. And actually, to promote this even more, we also added it as a tip below settings. Like, hey, you can really just press C on any page to open this. So let's say you have blueprints open and you want to like quickly go somewhere else. You can press C and then you want to go to automations, for example, or whatever.
Works really well.
Yeah.
Oh, you were already at automations.
I know, but I clicked, didn't work. No, yeah, but yeah. So that's, and you can also search for any entity, right? So if you just want to quickly, like, this is the corner light behind me, for example, but this is my dev instance, so I've disabled it. But you can actually see, you can open up any entity, quickly control it, all from this quick bar. So quick bar is cool. Press C or E on your device, and I think on iOS, I'm just probably gonna butcher this. I think 3 fingers swipe down or something.
On Android, I know it's 2 fingers. Okay, I said I know, but it wasn't a confident I know. 3 fingers on that phone?
No, I can't find it.
Oh wait,
but yeah.
It was 3 fingers. I was completely wrong in my I know. It is 3 fingers on Android.
You know what I use a lot about the C with the quick bar is, instead of putting like the ingress of add-ons into my sidebar, like the code editor and stuff I use frequently, but not my daily control driver, right? So actually, if you press C, you can actually navigate to add-ons too. So if I press C and I type in like code, then the Code Studio server would pop up there too. So I can quickly navigate to even the add-ons using the quick bar. I think that's really helpful.
Without putting them in your sidebar. Yeah, that is a good trick. Right?
Yes, without putting them in the sidebar. Yes. So my sidebar is nice and clean, so I can just navigate around quickly with C and then keep the daily controls in my sidebar.
But I just saw in Zach West, the iOS developer, he clarified there's no quick, there's no shortcut with fingers for quick bar. But maybe it's coming. But there's some sidebar stuff happening. Yeah. We always wanted to make the quick bar more powerful. Maybe have like templates can be evaluated, these kind of stuff. But we never did. So maybe it's coming. Or something like that.
Something like that.
All right.
Well, I think that was all the release notes. That's crazy.
Yeah, there's there's a lot. There's one thing I want to maybe highlight a bit, and that's Open Z-Wave, or at least Open Z-Wave and the OZW and Z-Wave old integrations. So if you're still on the old Z-Wave integration or the Open Z-Wave integration, those are now in their final stage of deprecation. So they have been deprecated for quite a while already.
A year.
Yeah. Yes, and we talked about it a lot in the past, right? But this is now the final call. So this will be the last release that contains them, and as of next release, they will be removed, which is not because we want to, because we always said we'd keep them around as long as possible. But at this point, it becomes problematic to keep pushing Home Assistant forward into new features without breaking them. Actually, we cannot upgrade like the Python that runs Home Assistant without breaking the Z-Wave integration, for example, will not be able to run. So it's time to say goodbye, and this is the last release that will contain them. And we strongly advise you to upgrade to Z-Wave ES, because that's just sounds better. There's really no reason to stick to the old one, besides like it's maybe not fun to migrate. However, I believe that's now fixed or easier, or
we did a couple of fixes for the Z-Wave migration. So if you're in the original Z-Wave migration, we will help you migrate and maintain the same entity IDs while you migrate to Z-Wave JS. The nice thing about Z-Wave is that all the pairings between the stick and devices are stored on the stick. So it's not like you have to repair and walk around your house. The only challenge is that we want to make sure that the device gets the same entity ID. And this is where the migration is actually going to help. And then, so Z-Wave JS is based on JavaScript. So it doesn't run inside the Home Assistant container, or like it's a separate application that's run next to it. If you are on Home Assistant operating system, this is handled transparently for you. So while you set up the integration will install the add-on for you. It will guide you to configure the add-on. It will start it, keep it up to date, all that stuff. You don't even realize that you're actually using an add-on behind the scenes. If you're using Home Assistant container, so you run just a Docker container of Home Assistant, there is a Docker container available called Z-Wave JS 2 MQTT. Now, don't get thrown off by this name, because this server, this application actually contains the Z-Wave JS core, and it contains the Home Assistant connector. And the Home Assistant connector is all we need. So Home Assistant can talk directly to Z-Wave JS to MQTT, bypassing all the MQTT stuff. So even if you run the container installation, sorry, I should get some water maybe. But even if you run the container installation, you can just run this Z-Wave container and it just connects directly. If you run the core installation, you're in pure Python, then good luck. Now, it's a JavaScript application, right? So you can just install the npm package, and then with Node, it's just a lot more maintenance. I wouldn't do it.
Just get Docker. Okay, in that case, I strongly recommend to get Docker. It's so easy to spin up the container, right? And just to update the container, and just don't worry about which version of Node I do need. And
right.
All those.
So just to clarify, Z-Wave JS to MQTT includes the exact same. It includes our library that is the connector for Home Assistant towards Z-Wave JS. So it's the exact same code. It's not some third-party code. No, this is the Home Assistant code that like the Home Assistant Z-Wave JS developers have been building.
Yep.
Yeah. And I mean, Z-Wave JS, it's fast, it's maintained, it is constantly improving. So it's really, really nice to use. It has a nice panel also in Home Assistant to manage your Z-Wave JS installation. If you use Z-Wave JS 2 MQTT, it has its own panel that overlaps, has even some more advanced features if you're into that. So yeah, please update. And if you don't update past, this release is the last one that will have the old Z-Wave stuff in it. So if you do not, if you want to keep using the old Z-Wave stuff, you can no longer update Home Assistant.
Yeah.
Because next release, it's gone.
Yep. Heavily. All right. Anything else that's going on that we want to talk about or want to share?
We're making good progress with Home Assistant Yellow. Most of the parts are now in. We're doing some small tweaking with the power over Ethernet emissions. Can you say emissions? Radiation? What is it called?
I think it's something like emission, yeah.
Yeah.
Make sure to like the stream.
Yes.
Thanks, Frank.
Yellow is going according to scheme, and I hope we can or schedule, I have to say, and so that's moving forward very nicely.
Yep.
EMF, Jeff says it's EMF.
Oh, that's the emission, whatever thing. Yeah.
Something
Thanks,
with radio and testing. And
it was actually really cool. I mean, they went into like a lab in Switzerland with the device, and they're like shooting stuff at the device too.
It looked like a very spacey room. Like it was really like futuristic, kind of like I don't know. Could be a space station for what I'm looking at from my perspective.
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
Yeah, right. Mike, what have you been up to last month? Like you're now a month with Nabucasa. What have you been up to?
Catching up on the many repositories.
It's a lot, right?
So, I mean, like I said, I work primarily on supervisor, so a lot of my contributions will end up being behind the scenes. I guess one that might be worth highlighting that definitely affect a number of people is we've been trying to improve how Home Assistant works with local DNS. So in the upcoming release of our DNS plugin, which is one of the plugins that I guess spun up and maintained by Supervisor, it should be able to work significantly better with MDNS and LLMNR your and services on your network. That is a mouthful.
So basically, it would be able to like for the end users, what they will notice is devices being discovered better, if I'm correct, right?
Yeah, devices being discovered better. Also, just like being able, like a common complaint is that we've had in the past is like you put in like myservice.local as the URL, and it would work, and then it would stop working, and then there's this whole like long posts in the forum of people talking about restarting the container to try and get it working again. And in the end, most people just end up putting in the IP, which can change or requires going into your router and doing a static IP.
Right.
So we're trying to make this easier. It's also particularly noticeable with ESP Home because ESP Home devices broadcast as on MDNS, and then that doesn't necessarily work. So we're trying to make that better. So hopefully after the next release of the DNS plugin, that will work. And I mean, networks are complex, so there can still be some fire out, but
they are. It's an ongoing battle with support questions on network configurations. There's so many like different flavors, right?
It's always DNS.
Yeah, it's always DNS. Yeah, that's true. It's always DNS. Yeah. I saw this question, which I want to highlight, by the way, really quick.
Oh, before you highlight the question, I have the photo from the lab.
Oh, yeah.
Look,
that's just cool, right?
Excellent. And then whatever they shoot stuff at it. Yeah.
That's so
you
cool.
can also see like the case as well, which is nice. Like it's in its case and everything.
Yeah. Yeah, sorry, highlight the question, Frank.
Highlight the question. So what happened to the update for zones that was pulled in previous release? We actually asked ourselves the same thing. Like I believe Paulus actually mentioned it like an hour ago in the chat. Like what actually happened with that? Like we all, honestly, I think just simply, we were too busy with media. We all went up in media. So yeah, definitely something that's still on the list, but was simply forgotten this release. I cannot tell anything else. But definitely something we should.
Everybody was pretty busy this release.
Yes.
I mean, we're always very busy.
Yeah. Well,
the problem is with Home Assistant that we touch so many places, right? Where like, Mike has just been looking at DNS, right? That's just like one small piece of the puzzle. Then there were a bunch of people looking at media on different layers. Yeah.
It's just
on top, it's everywhere.
It's often a little change, and that little change brings in another little change. And then somebody has an idea, like that's a nice little addition. We should do that too. And there we go. Next month.
Well, yeah, it's not like, oh yeah, we have years worth of plans, and this month we're doing, next month it's month by month and mostly driven by community, and so it's really hard to be oh yeah, this is the items of list of things that we're definitely going to have done by next month.
It's often the question, what's the roadmap?
Yeah,
it also really helps that the IoT and home automation technology world is static around us, and no one releases new things that they want to integrate.
Yeah, I mean, our roadmap is like, for example, we watched like Jeff Geerling's video about yellow, and then we're like, oh, we got to fix that.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually,
it's never like, oh yeah, we're gonna fix that in Q4 of 2022.
No.
It's always, yeah, we should fix that eventually, and then eventually maybe someone decides, oh, I want to do that, and we do it, right?
Yeah. Actually, can I show a feature we added because of Jeff Geerling's video? I see Jeff also in the chat.
Is he in the chat? Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, he was. So he wanted to add his Zigbee light, and
right.
And he couldn't find. He's like, "What am I? Clicking on add integration." So what? So we're working on one thing more, which I can give a sneak peek of like what we're doing. But first thing is, if you click add integration and you have Zigbee and Z-Wave set up, we will now add that here. So it's easily to be like, oh, I'm going to add a Z-Wave device. I want to add a Zigbee device. But the second feature we're working on, and this is not going to be for Zigbee and Z-Wave. So it was inspired by Jeff's video, but not like, it's not going to solve the feature that he was missing. But there's a bunch of integrations that are also available under different names. So one of them is like Overkiss, and there's a bunch of these brands that they either white label their stuff and they'll have a single API and it all works the same way. And we put the burden on the user to kind of know, oh, you want to control your, I think, Somfy covers, then you have to search for Overkiss in the integration list, right? And that's why, for example, what they do now is that they add Somfy in the name, so you kind of help the user, but that's kind of silly. So what we're going to add is called supported brands, where the Overkiss integration will be able to say, I support Somfy. And so when people search for Somfy, they will actually see a Somfy entry in this page. They click on it. Then we will educate the user saying, well, to use the Somfy integration, to add Somfy products, you have to use the Overkiss integration, and then they can start with the config flow for Overkiss. And then their Somfy stuff will work. So this is something that it's already approved on the architecture level. The foundation is in this release, but it's not visible yet. So that's something maybe also we're going to do next month. I mean, I can hear already the list of stuff we want to do next month, getting bigger and bigger. But yeah, there's a bunch of integration developers really looking forward to this feature, including like the people working on Somfy stuff.
I mean, if you really want to say it, we want to get everything done next month, but that's not really possible. So, like, it's what we get to.
Yeah, the list of ideas, man. It's and it's never ending. It's like expanding faster than we can add, right? At least it's my list of things I want to do is expanding faster than I can.
I actually had to get a new to-do list because the to-do list format that I was using wasn't working because of the backlog that I had of like, oh, I want to do that sometime, or oh, I want to make that video, or I want to do that. I'm like, okay, well, this is not working. This is madness. So yeah.
But then we luckily have each other, so we all have ideas, and then we all spawn even more ideas, and then we have the community, which is also really good in spawning ideas, which is great, by the way. I'm really looking forward to this year's. Talking about all these kind of like helpful features. I'm looking forward to this year's month of what the heck, actually, somewhat.
Yeah, for the people that don't know what month of what the heck is, we did this 2 years ago.
Yeah, October.
It was inspired by the Ruby on Rails community, and basically it allowed. We opened a forum category on our forums, and people could just create topics with stuff. They were like, "Why is it like this?" So this is way lower barrier than a bug report. You didn't have to mention your Home Assistant version, steps to reproduce, maybe just a screenshot to be like, why is it so cumbersome to do X, Y, or Z? And we keep it open for a month, and we try to fix all this stuff. We did this 2 years ago, 1.5 years maybe. And it was a big success. Like, things that came out of it is using an input date time as a entity for a trigger, a time trigger, for example. These kind of things.
Getting rid of data templates.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, lots of small tweaks kind of come out of it. Because a lot of times it's just like, why is this button placed so weird? Or why is this not visible? Or why can't I just click here and do that? And like, yeah, I mean, we have a lot of ideas ourselves, but those are not always the best ideas. So it's good to just get everybody like piling on this, like it's just basically too many ideas. And then we just, sometimes you see an idea, you just like, yeah, we should just do that. And the month of what the heck, they all come, they're there.
UI reloadable integrations. That was almost entirely out of that month.
Yeah.
It was like I think you could like reload automations and scripts before that, and then Vidraco added I think a bunch. I know he did a whole bunch. I don't know how there was some split, but now it's really weird to find an integration that you have to restart for, and you almost don't want to use it for that reason alone.
I already see a couple like this one popping up a couple of times. Not this one. This one popping up a couple of times already now. This is actually in progress, so we're going to aim to make sure this is not going to be in the month of what the heck.
Yeah. And speaking of what Mike was talking about, like being able to reload everything, and going back a little bit more, quick bar. If you click C, you can reload everything right there as well, which is nice.
Right, that's true. Now, what the wonderful was really cool, and it really triggers to those little making the quality of life inside Home Assistant better. Like it's especially a lot of low-hanging fruit often that we can pick up there, right? It's those little annoyances that you're thinking like, what the heck, why is this like this? And that can be fixed that way. So that was cool. I'm looking forward to another cycle in that because it was 2 years ago we did that, right? So should start like thinking about when actually, but yeah.
Definitely.
I want to highlight this one. Somebody's asking, when should an integration be in core or in HACS? So ideally, everything is in core, right? Like everything in core is vetted by Home Assistant developers, so you know it's working. If internal changes happen, all the core integrations are being updated as well. It can have more tests. It's like it gets improved over time a lot more. But of course, if things have to be reviewed by the Home Assistant team, it means that development cycle can be slower. So some people choose to, choose to go into a custom component and publish it via HACS. That means they also don't have to adhere to our strict testing and style and comments. But that also has the downside that those comments are actually, for a reason, right? Sometimes we're like, hey, the way you're structuring your component is going to slow down Home Assistant. The quality in HACS can be high, but it can also be very low. So it goes, you're more on your own, and it can break in releases.
Sometimes it's good. Sometimes a lot of people do it just to see if it's ready for core, right? It could be good for that. But I think Petro had a good response. It's like whenever the person doesn't want to follow the core rules or not.
Right. Actually, this is the core rules, and Rahman has a good response there too. Is that so? For example, we do not allow web scraping because that's just too fragile. It breaks all the time. And so, if something does web scraping, or for example does GPIO, right? That's also one that we do no longer allow. Then it will be a custom component, and it can work just as well.
Or it directly communicates with services and APIs as opposed to via pip package. Sometimes there's a lot of different devices and things out there. So some are just not going to be able to work nicely with it. So you can, sometimes you just have to do it that way. And ideally, then those people will just they'll have warnings and they'll just say really, this is not a great service. But this is the best that can be offered for this particular type of device because that's what the manufacturer has given.
Yep. Sometimes.
Well, you also we're really busy, right? I'm loading up the number of PRs we merged, but I looked up last weekend. In the last 24 weeks, that's a long period, we merged 9,400 pull requests. There's just so many changes being constantly merged into core. It is crazy.
Well,
So-
compare that to what did you say? December release or something like the 24 weeks.
December, yeah, this December, January, like that was just, that's not comparable to anything. That was 2,500. So just core.
Right.
No, yeah, this. I always love this application. GitHub is going to shut it down. If you work for
Yeah.
GitHub, don't shut down pull reminders, please. We love it. But yeah, this is kind of shows you. I mean, it's the last one is a bit lower because this that period is still in progress. But you can see in the last 4 weeks, we have merged almost 1,400 pull requests across all our repositories. So it's busy.
It is.
Yeah. So yeah, if you're like, why are they not fixing my specific feature? It's probably because we're fixing another feature.
It's a constant flow. And it feels like, and this is really cool to see, by the way, if you're looking at this graph, it's actually 2 lines. So it's a line of what's coming in and it's a line what's going out. And every time we do our best to like catch up, like you can see in the February 21, in the middle, like it's going up a bit, then everybody is like, oh, they're catching up. Let's create more features and more bug fixes or something. And somehow catching up doesn't work.
So if the purple line and the gray line are the same, that means, okay, at the beginning of the month, we had 5 pull requests. At the end of the month, we also had 5 pull requests, right?
Right.
Like it's outstanding, open, still in work. So it's like, if you look at just numbers, you just look at open pull request, nothing got done. But instead, it's like up and down, up and down, up and down.
Yeah. I sometimes have those days, especially when the releases are coming like a week before that, and I try to like spend a day like just doing as much as I can, right? And then you look at it the next day and you're like, what did I do all day? But you did a lot, but then nothing changed. It's just. But it's kind of great, actually.
That's why we love small PRs.
Yeah, that's why.
That's true.
That's true.
Frank has optimized our CI, right? If you do a small PR to a non-core course thing, so like just an integration, your CI, all the tests run, limited to that one integration, and it's done in like a couple of minutes. It's amazing.
Small things, small changes are quick.
I always touch the core stuff, and so I always have to wait like 45 minutes. Yeah.
All right. So, anything else? Things left? Guys, have anything new?
Any cool devices they're putting in their house this week?
Well, I actually
I got a FedEx notification that I ordered a 3D printer.
Oh yeah.
So, you did.
The Prusa Mini Plus. So
do you have a Pi for it?
No. Well, I mean, not really. I have my compute module. I have I have the compute module that I was planning to use with the yellow, but I guess I can get a new one because I got this carrier board that is like the Pionora, which is a nice little Pi kind of it turns your compute module back in the Raspberry Pi, basically. So that's probably what I'm going to install Octoprint, of course, and do all the stuff that 3D printer people do.
That's super cool. I'm looking forward to your experience. Like we all have 3D printers, and you're always on the sideline watching, like we're all printing that stuff. Yeah. It's always cool to see somebody step in that.
No, yeah, I don't know. Pascal said I had to order this extruder, so I've already had this extra extruder for my Prusa Mini from Bondtech. He said, the stock extruder is not good. I have no idea what the extruder does. So yeah, it's gonna be good. I hope. Yeah, my son was really excited because he really loves our normal like 2D printer because I keep printing like pictures of blue whales for him, and so I think he has big hopes that our 3D printer is just gonna give him.
I got a 3D printed whale for you. That is just like one of the favorite toys from Flynn. Like it's flexible, so you print it and you can play with it. Like,
nice.
It's really cool.
I have this one. I think Bram gave it to me.
Yeah, similar to that, but then like in a wheel.
Nice.
I printed a huge one as large as possible on my machine, and the thing goes everywhere. Like it's the bathtub and the shower, and it's always with them. Like He calls it
nice.
the baby shark. Yeah, that's really cool.
I recently went to IKEA and saw how easy their stuff was to use. So if I click this button, then everything goes up. It's all in Home Assistant, which is pretty nice.
I got it here too.
Oh,
Okay, so I tried to find the shortcut buttons, Frank. They're like impossible to find in my store, or they just didn't have any or something. But I could not find any. I looked for probably 30 minutes just in different sections, going through, looking at trying to go through all the smart home stuff. But I like your poop button.
Well, this is actually the house clean button. So if I push this, it will enable and brighten all lights in the house to the max. And it just helps with, like, if you're cleaning the house and go through the house, then it's just nice to have light as much as possible everywhere and such. So this activates cleaning mode for my house, and hence that's it.
Nice.
I wanted to do the blinds, but the roll up style of blinds were rejected in my household, so I haven't figured out how to do it yet.
Well, they're only in my office right now because they got rejected for the rest of the house.
Same, right?
Frank, you have like an automated curtain, don't you?
On the front door. So nice. we'll close the automated curtain on the front door, depending if it's a holiday or not, and if it's a weekend day, work day, and then it changes the time when it opens. And on Sunday it doesn't open.
What are you using?
I have one of those Xiaomi curtain motors with over Zigbee, so it actually works really well. I'm pretty happy with that.
Nice.
I got this one, which is a really boring device, but I'm actually really happy with it. So it got delivered today. And I can hook this one up to my energy meter, the P1 port, which my energy meter has one of. And this one contains an octocoupler and all kinds of logic. So I can hook up multiple. So I can keep my production instance, and I have one for development. Little splitter for my energy meter to not mess with my statistics of my production instance.
I wish I need something to do energy monitoring. Like, you could do certain devices, but like whole home stuff is hard.
No, yeah, in the US, so I did some research to that. So there's only one. Oh, 1 second.
In Texas, there used to be an API. It was working, then it wasn't working, and then it was working, and then it wasn't working again. But then I moved, and we actually went. The company I have to go through for electric now is like completely locked down and doesn't allow any API access, which kind of sucks.
Not even Zigbee, because there's a electricity meter Zigbee standard in the US that's pretty common.
It might be Zigbee, but I'm just saying, like the one from Texas, I can't remember which one it was, is like API based, stuff like that. But there might be a Zigbee option.
So the way it works, at least in California, and I think also in other parts of the US, but I know Texas is independent with their electricity stuff, so maybe it works differently. But there's a Zigbee standard where you need it's a special Zigbee, not your normal Zigbee, and then the meter will make a connection to your device. So the meter is the host, and so you have to like send in a form with like your ID and of your device. And then it gets pushed to you locally. So your electricity meter can wirelessly push the data to your device. I use a Rainforest Eagle 200. It's expensive. It drops off the network the whole time, and it's pretty unreliable. But it's like literally the only one with a local API. So it's like, and there's the View Emporia, which it's $35, but it only works with their cloud. And I talked to them like, please open up local, because there's a custom component that talks to their cloud, and they were, complaining to the custom component author that too many requests were being made, and they were looking into local but never heard back. So
is it somebody just said that Emporia View 2 is ESP32 based?
It is ESP based, correct. And it's USB stick with ESP based and a Zigbee chip, but I have no idea how it has no local API. I mean, it could have a local API, but they just didn't add one.
So
Yeah.
what he writes is you can flash it with ESP Home.
I was looking at the logs. I had my serial adapter, I connected to the serial port with it. But yeah, I don't know, because then the problem is you need to implement a Zigbee stack, which we don't have in ESP Home, because this is first of all, we don't have Zigbee in ESP Home, but this is also a Zigbee client, right? You get connected to, you don't make the connection.
Have you checked to see whether your meter is just broadcasting like that you could read with an RTL SDR? That's what I did. Both my gas and my electric meter are broadcasting. I just bought a little. That's really the only smart device I bought this month. Actually, was the little antenna that reads both my electric and gas meter, puts it in, and now I've got those dashboards working.
Nice.
Yeah, I mean, I had one before, but it was kind of junky. I bought one. There was like a different site and now it has been pretty continuous. So that's been nice. I mean, I think it's definitely worth checking out. It was really easy to set up.
How did you find out what it was broadcasting?
Yeah, I'm so lost on that kind of stuff.
How did I find out what was broadcasting? So, I mean, you can look up your meter. I can send it to you. You can look up your meter. Like a lot of them, like look up the type and the manufacturer of the meter. There's a site that has a lot of information on it, and I can send it all to you after. I actually made an add-on in AMR to MQTT add-on, and I can look it up. I put all this like exactly how I did it in the documentation. I'm just forgetting it all off the top of my head now. But yeah, like once you got it, like I just plugged in the antenna and immediately readings started coming in, and then it was just a question of which reading is mine, and that turned out to be pretty easy because it's got an ID in there, and the ID is on your meter. Just have to.
You can also see all your neighbors.
What?
So you read out all your neighbors.
You can see your neighbors.
Yeah, you can. It's not really how. Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, the reality is the reason they do it. This is how they read your meter. They drive by on the road and they pick up the signal, and that's how they do it. That's why they don't come up to your house anymore. There's like some issues. Some meters do this, but actually, like they send out a signal, and then that tells them, "Hey, I'm here. I want a reading," and it sends it out then. So you can't get it continuously. But a lot of them just broadcast it, and some are also encrypted, in which case you're not going to be able to do it.
Right.
But,
I mean, that's kind of a privacy nightmare, right? Like electricity gives away, like maybe are you showering if you have like an electric boiler or like, wow.
You can extract like patterns from that, right? So there are even devices specialized in doing that. You could actually like do some pretty serious. Yeah, right. That's one of the things. Like, are my neighbors home? It's kind of a nice sensor for your audio volume. Actually,
max volume on your stereo based on if they're home or not.
Yeah. So pro tip.
Mike's over here like, it looks like my neighbor is showering right now.
So actually a pro tip, if you want to know that information, there's those like motion sensors that work on microwave instead of like pairs. And you can actually point that towards the wall from your neighbors, and you can actually detect if somebody is behind the other side of the wall.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Huh.
So, but that's privacy not good. You should not.
Yeah.
You don't. It can be helpful for your maximum volume. Yeah.
Hey, Mike, if you tweet about your add-on, we'll retweet it on the Home Assistant Twitter so that people can find it, and we can put it in the show notes. Is that how you call it on YouTube too? I don't know, but we can put it in the description.
In the description. No, you gotta in the description below. Make sure to comment, like, and subscribe.
Right, that's what you say, right? And then you have to like subscribe.
Yeah, exactly. You get a little animation that comes up and everything,
Yeah.
Make sure to subscribe to the Home Assistant channel because more videos. I think I did more content this week and last week that I've done in a year and maybe more.
Well, because actually, for the people that don't know, Zach also has his own YouTube channel, and he has just bought a house, and he is going to fully automate it with Home Assistant. So, or at least that's the plan, right?
That's the plan. I mean, I don't have any other smart home platform right now, so I do have a MacBook now, so I'll switch over to HomeKit.
All right. You know, you can do HomeKit through Home Assistant, and so
Yeah.
then like ESP Home can be controlled from your Apple Watch and whatever.
Well, yeah, I don't go that far into the Apple ecosystem.
Okay,
Yeah, I got the Pixel 6. But
that's good.
All right.
All right,
So
should we wrap it up? I mean, it's 2 hours, right? So
last shout out then.
yeah.
if you
Go,
haven't, sign up for this newsletter. Zach is putting a lot of love in it. And the first edition will come out in 2 days. Normally it will come out. We plan on making it go out on the same day, but for this special launch edition, we're going to have people sign up a little bit before we send out the first one. Yeah, and it's going to be cool. It will have some highlights from the community, a bit like we used to have the community highlights. But then it will also have like the release notes. It will make you aware of the latest release. It's not a replacement, right? So it will just shortly summarize it. And yeah, don't forget to like, subscribe, follow wherever you're watching this, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube. Yeah.
follow us on all socials at Home Assistant.
No, almost all, right?
Yeah,
Home _ assistant, home - assistant on.
yeah,
Something.
you'll find it eventually.
All right, everybody have a good Wednesday.
Yeah.
Bye, everyone.
Bye bye.